At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, it's been quite a busy afternoon across North Mississippi with multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, and now what we hope for is a calmer night ahead before more severe weather moves in the near future. Well, good afternoon and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're probably south of Highway 82, because north of that point, this is what it looked like. A large part of the area seeing showers and storms move through it, and this is a look there in Tishomingo County. Not a severe storm, but you can get a look at a little bit of that leading shelf right there. This from Adrian and the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. And Matt, this was the least of our concerns. We had more storms out earlier into the Mississippi Delta that definitely had some damage associated with it, whether it was winds or some strong hail.
And some power outages, things of that nature here. And of course, as we welcome you into the Room to Room Weather Center this evening at 6 o'clock, for the most part, storms do continue to weaken and rain chances are diminishing into this evening. Now, they don't go away completely. We have some near the Tennessee state line. Gabe and I will be showing you more detail about here in a couple minutes that could continue into the overnight hours. I think severe weather possible once again tomorrow as well as into Wednesday. Honestly, those chances are a little bit better, especially by Wednesday. We never get to a high risk. On the scale of 1 to 5, level 1 is as high as we get, but it becomes something that all of us have a chance for a little bit later on. And we are going to have the latest on Major Hurricane Gabrielle as we're tracking the tropics. Our meteorologist Gabe Maynor with the very latest on that, of course, come up here in just a few minutes as well. As we go, though, beginning this evening on Mississippi Live Weather Radar here, that severe weather risk, we've kind of talked about that. Tonight, that risk mainly to the north of us. And as you note, we have had at least one report of some spotty wind damage around our region. That coming up there from locations in and around the Holly Springs area earlier on. If you missed that earlier in some of our live cut-ins earlier on, report about 3:11 p.m. of trees and power lines down, and actually a vehicle that ended up hitting one of those trees that was knocked down there near the intersection of 311 and Highway 7 there in Marshall County. That's the only report of severe weather that we had around our region today. Not the only report that we did have, because we did have reports in some cases of power outages, though those power outages less and less of a factor in the last little bit here, that we do still show the new outages there closer to Cleveland, only 200 at this instant. But of course, if that's for you, if you're in the Shelby area, and I do think really it's north of Shelby, probably most likely spots where we did have that fairly significant storm earlier on that dropped that. Looked like some fairly significant chance for some hail earlier on as well. As we bring it back here to the latest version of Mississippi Live Weather Radar and its latest scans, you can see the far northeast part of the state, which is where we were kind of talking about this with our meteorologist Gabe Maynor a moment ago, as we were looking with Adrian with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers up here near the Tennessee state line. He did have, again, some dark looking clouds. This has certainly gone through a massive weakening phase in the last little bit. And I know we have so many folks that desperately need rainfall. If you're like me and most of us, that level 1 drought is where you're at. In some cases, we have level 3 drought in some parts of the state. So it shouldn't be a shock at all that this is weakening, though I do have a little bit of a boundary starting to show up there near Tuscumbia, back toward Russellville. That's going to expand back toward the west. And as these showers hit it, perhaps a little bit more of a flare up closer to Cherokee and out here toward Vina or Hodges. But I don't know, we're talking about a whole lot more than that, because that is definitely in a weakening phase. As we show the showers there in and around the Fulton area where we've had some as we've gone throughout this afternoon. I want to check, see kind of what those look like there. And it's just going to kind of look like sprinkles, plus from time to time what you see in kind of the lower right-hand corner of the screen on this here. So this kind of looking back toward the Tupelo area. If I kind of try to get it on there, some dark and funny looking clouds showing up from time to time. Do not get overly concerned with that. Luckily, these storms like that, just dark clouds, doesn't necessarily equal severe weather. Appreciate again the folks over at MDOT there for allowing us to utilize those cameras around the region. We've looked at our Tupelo camera a number of times today, but as you can see, it's just kind of leftover stuff out of that camera at this instant here. 75 degrees current temperature in Tupelo at this time. So check out our camera in the Amory area. It's 81. Again, dark clouds, largely what a lot of folks are seeing at this instant. But again, we are solidly past any significant and more active weather for those spots. And again, the last hour has shown, again, a huge weakening trend on that. Still some showers out here back toward Cleveland. We had that storm that we'll look at up here also closer to Tunica. That's gone just a little bit north of town, not by much, but as we talked about, we didn't expect it would be by much that it went north. This one moving close to around 25 to 30 miles per hour. I'll track that at about 30 up here, eventually moving there closer to Marionette at about 628. We're looking at Holly Hills, about 647, Nesbitt at 651, but in the nearer term there, of course, closer to Banks at 624 and Commerce at 609. This is a non-severe thunderstorm at this point. It has likely probably produced a little bit of spotty wind damage back when it was to the west, but going through a bit more of a collapsing phase at this instant here as well. As we slide southward, showing a few showers and thunderstorms out here toward Tutwiler and Drew and Sunflower, all these kind of drifting back toward the east. Speed on these, not fast. This batch here, because you'll notice it's just, I mean, you have this is just barely drifting. I mean, I might be overdoing it to say 15 miles per hour. But we do expect that this batch here will continue to kind of trigger some showers over the next little while. So that's why, even though I'm only going 15 miles per hour, it's worth showing that on there. And I'm going to adjust my track to where we extend it out a little further. I'm going to do that. See if it'll let me do that. There we go. And then we're going to expand that out maybe a lot further here for just a moment. So give me a second to kind of extend it rather than 15 miles. Let's just say the wave that's causing that. If that is able to hold together in the next couple of hours here, I mean, you can see it takes all the way past 8 o'clock before it gets to Carrollton, but I wouldn't at all be shocked if this still had some spotty little sprinkles with it farther east and maybe some rumbles as well. We just so badly need the rainfall that would certainly be something that hopefully maybe get just a little bit more of that. Checking out a couple cameras out here. As you'll note, looking in there in the Cleveland area, you know, I love this camera and the way that American flag flows there in the shot. Looking back kind of northeastward, you kind of see some of those isolated thunderstorms that we do have there closer to the Cleveland area at this point in time. Other cameras, Shelby, we mentioned some of the power outages there. I'm interested to see if that camera is still working. It looks like it is, and certainly that's a cool shot as we look back toward the east. So that tells you those thunderstorms there maybe a little more healthy than I was indicating just a second ago, because you see how we kind of have this sort of rough edge to the way this looks here, the bubbly look. It's a sign that's still taking in some unstable air and power in that. 88 degrees in Shelby. Of course, looking back toward the east, toward some of those heavier thunderstorms, as I kind of clear that off, that would be, again, right there, Shelby. And so we're kind of looking in the back side of some of those. So maybe a little more robust than what it indicates here. So still watching that track. I'm going to extend it a little farther east then, because if that's looking that much better than what radar looks like, it's possible when it gets to Winona, still that shows about 9:30 or so. So have some time before that. Should be weaker by then, but here's hoping you at least get some kind of rainfall by that point in time. So I want to bring our meteorologist Gabe Maynard back in here. He has been looking at some of those power outages that some locations around the region have had as well. Gabe, what are you seeing there?
Well, that one that we were talking there towards Bolivar County, you were worried about the Shelby area. Shelby's actually still intact. The thing with this outage is actually a vehicle that hit their equipment, and crews are currently on the way to restore power as soon as possible, but that's affecting 284 folks over there in Bolivar County, and not just over there, but towards the Beulah area and Rosedale area. We're seeing that a utility pole was broken, and crews are on site making repairs. That'll take a little bit longer to just get that pole back up and running, but that can definitely tell you that if a utility pole was broken, there's not a cause of it like they listed earlier with the car. More than likely that was some strong wind gusts knocking that pole over. And so that's not at all an impossibility heading into the rest of this afternoon and evening. Maybe a few strong wind gusts knocking over a few more power lines, or even a few more of those dying trees, as that is a realistic possibility, even with subsevere gusts. Of course, those chances do diminish greatly, 30% by 7, 10% already by 10, and that 10% lingers overnight and into the start of our Tuesday, setting the scene in for what could be an even more active Tuesday afternoon as we track out some of those showers and storms. As we take a look right here at Futurecast, I'm going to expand this out so we can kind of take a broad look right here at the progression of that frontal boundary, but you can see it off there towards Oklahoma and Texas. That's going to be your big driver in that extended forecast as it brings those rain chances, but also cooler air as we wrap up the week. We know fall happened today, it started today, and so some of that fall-like air could be in place behind that frontal boundary, or at least feeling a little bit more like it. But that at least providing a lifting mechanism for a few storms out there towards Oklahoma and Texas. Over here, we're basically in this warm sector that would allow a few of those pop-up showers and storms to form. And if it interacts with the right ingredients, then a few more strong to possibly severe storms are possible late into your Tuesday and into those overnight hours especially. So 10% lingers throughout your morning and early afternoon, but 20% moves back into the forecast by mid to late afternoon. But as we talked about at 5, big questions with that Futurecast. Where exactly does it track? Where exactly does it trend? Could impact us a little bit more than what it's forecasting as of this point, but we'll talk more details about that forecast coming up here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60, live from the Room to Room Weather Center.
Up here's where your biggest risks hide: leaks, mold, and expensive damage. Most commercial roofs fail slowly until they fail big. Why rip it off when you can restore it? Our silicone coatings stop leaks, prevent mold, and extend your roof life without the high replacement cost. It's a 30-year watertight roof, energy efficient, leak-free, and half the cost of replacement. And it's backed by GE's manufacturer warranties. Facility managers love this. No disruption, no tear-off, and long-term protection for your property. Trust Absolute Restoration for your commercial roof.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, it'll be a busy next couple of days here in North Mississippi as strong storms are moving back into the area once again, specifically by Wednesday. We'll talk more details here in just a moment. Let's focus on the here and now. And here and now, we'd still see those showers and storms move through the region, isolated in nature, but at least lingering there into that midnight hour. Futurecast showing us exactly that, as that large batch of showers and storms already moving out of the area by that 7 o'clock hour. Some of that isolated activity back there towards the Mississippi Delta, that of course dissipating out as well. So not really expecting any severe weather into those overnight hours, but the brief possibility of a shower or storm is definitely there, especially along the Tennessee state line, which will be a hot spot on our Futurecast model, our HRRR model, as we get into our Tuesday. You can see right there a few rumbles of thunder, not an impossibility there towards Marshall, Tate, Benton, Tippah, Alcorn, even there towards Tishomingo County, as that entire line, as that entire warm sector progresses across that Tennessee state line. So low temperatures for your Tuesday, still going to be mild despite that fall season in full effect. We're seeing upper 60s and low 70s with 71 Greenwood, Cleveland, and 72 around Greenville. So it's going to be a very mild start to our day. That school day forecast starting mild, but getting hot once again towards the afternoon. We're still in the upper 80s with a few of us actually reaching the low 90s. But what you may notice right there is 20% chance of development as we reach that last bell, and of course we will be tracking that right here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Let's go ahead and get into it. So your Tuesday morning, there's your rain chances right along the Tennessee state line. Watch how that just kind of creeps along that same general area even by mid to late morning. Why this matters is because models were not exactly pinpoint perfect with their accuracy for today's storms, so I would not be surprised at all if that extends a little bit more south than what forecast models are intending it to be. I mean, right here you see it extending down there towards Prentiss and the Iuka area. Definitely a realistic possibility, but I wouldn't be surprised to see those reach as far south as Lee County, Itawamba County, even down there towards Union County, a realistic possibility. Those storms kind of linger in that same general area there towards 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, even there by 3 o'clock. And watch how some of that isolated development even creeps there a little bit more south and southeast, reaching as far south as Lafayette or over there towards the Union County area, like I mentioned. So that's going to be 6 p.m. on your Tuesday. So it is going to be dry for most of us. But if you live along the Tennessee state line, make sure to pack that rain gear just in case. Now, high temperatures for your Tuesday, of course, they are going to be toasty the further south you go with that drier air. 90 in Eupora, 91 in Starkville, and 93 over there towards Greenwood. The rest of us with that rainfall, mid-80s expected. So at least pulling those temperatures back ever so slightly. But where that severe weather risk is in place is for overnight. Some of that isolated development that's moving through the region could produce some strong wind gusts as well as some large hail. That's going to be overnight and moving into the start of your Tuesday, really out there towards the Mississippi Delta as you see some of those reds and oranges popping up, showing that there is a little bit more of that vertical development than what we're seeing earlier on. So let's carry that over into your Wednesday morning, and a lot of that activity that's going to be the most significant will remain up there northwest towards Olive Branch, Holly Springs, and the Memphis area. But that's not our only chances for Wednesday. Watch how that builds there by late morning as that cold front really extends there into North Mississippi by 11 a.m. into 12 p.m. I mean, those chances really rise. We're talking isolated showers and storms and really scattered showers and storms all across North Mississippi by that noon hour. As we head further into the afternoon, that cold front, a big driver in this forecast, taking a lot of that energy further out there towards the east, and that's where that potential for a few strong storms will develop there towards Lee County, Monroe County, all the way down there towards Chickasaw County. Those chances do linger and still seeing some decent outputs there in regards to some vertical development down around Lowndes County, Clay County, Oktibbeha, and Noxubee County. So that potential remains even by 6, 7, 8 o'clock p.m. on your Wednesday. Now that front will start to clear more and more, and as you can see behind that front, you do have something to enjoy. And that's much drier conditions as well as a little bit more of that cooler air, winds coming from that northwest. So that'll cycle in some of that drier air as a result. So that is something to look forward to, but we'll already see those temperatures take a step back because of that moisture that's in the air. Temperatures starting in the upper 60s, only climbing into the upper 70s and a few locations the low 80s for your Wednesday afternoon. So at least keeping those temperatures at bay for Wednesday with how much moisture we're expected to receive. So that day planner, 69 around 7, 84 by noon, 89 is where we top out tomorrow afternoon, but a few low 90s in that forecast as well. And then 75 getting towards 10 p.m. Again, your best time frame for rain chances will be during that mid to late afternoon time frame, but chances are possible in the morning, chances are possible overnight, and chances are really possible getting into your Wednesday. Thursday, 30% chances do remain, but once that front fully clears out of the area, take a look. I mean, temperatures are dropping because of the moisture, but then even with the drier air, we'll be right around our average for this time of year. Normal high is 85 degrees. We'll be at 81 Friday, 84 Saturday, and 86 there by Sunday with plenty of sunshine for your weekend forecast. Low temperatures follow that same trend. 68 Thursday, drops to 60 by Friday, and 59 by Saturday. It's going to be a good time to go tailgating there in the Junction for Tennessee and for your Ole Miss Rebels, I believe. They are at home. They're playing LSU at home. So sweet. So that's a good forecast then. Perfect timing for your weekend forecast and for those weekend football games. But what we're going to be tracking here in just a moment is where another area is that's pretty action-packed, and that's over in the Atlantic with Hurricane Gabrielle, a major hurricane as of this point. We'll be walking through the latest on those storm tracks. And speaking of storm tracks, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhan joining us once again, tracking the storms that we have here in North Mississippi and how long they'll last for your Monday evening. Stay with us here in the next 60.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.
What would you give for a child you loved to make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine.
One in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Well, welcome back into Mississippi Live weather at 6. As you can see behind me, showers and storms continuing to move through the area, but Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhan joining us now, walking through those chances and just how long they'll stick around for live from the Room to Room Weather Center. So Matt, what are you seeing? Is this threat going to continue for too much longer for our Monday?
I'm not impressed by what I'm seeing out there. I think some isolated showers, yes. Severe weather, it's going to be spotty at most, kind of looking at some of the latest, I think, of what we're kind of looking at here. I think you'd probably agree with that as well. Looking at these storms back out here closer to, say, Indianola and Inverness, out there kind of west of Greenwood. There's just a little wave here. It's not moving very fast. I mean, look at this one section there, how slow that has moved. Leland to Indianola. So if we kind of check the distance that has moved basically over the last hour, it's not swift, only about 12 miles per hour. Let's double check, make sure we got that right. Yeah, about 12 miles per hour or so. So it's not exactly in the mood to move. But as we kind of track that batch eastward there, like for the latest scan, and we'll see just how long that'll take to even get to Greenwood, for example. I mean, we'll say 15, maybe that's overdoing it just a little bit. And so tracking that there, we'll say about 40 miles. Let's see if I guess I got to get the whole thing in that. Okay, how many people with a keypad does it take? There we are. Okay, so yeah, taking Sunflower, we showed about 6:44 for you, getting close to Itabina by about 7:29. Let's go ahead and get it all the way there to Greenwood. And so that shows Greenwood by about 8 o'clock. I mean, come on, current time is 7:20, so that's not going to be very fast moving. I point that out. This one might have potential for a couple of hailstones with it. And actually, last scan, watch this. I might have a bad angle on this. That might have just a little bit of a south component to it. So let's see if let me adjust it just a little bit. There we are. So that'll adjust our time just a little bit. Similar time there still for Greenwood. But again, kind of this direction where it's headed at this point. So it's not a fast mover by any stretch of the imagination. Just kind of clear that off of our thing here and then kind of widen it back out on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Outside of that, it's just that one other thunderstorm we have in the northwest portion of the state. Before we go there, I probably should actually check out the Greenwood camera and look back into that thunderstorm. So let's do that here real quick. And I might have to change it back to the pointer to pull that off. There we go. And so that Greenwood storm may actually have, just kind of shows what's going to be kind of a cool sunset. You can see the orange in the background behind that there, and obviously a very bubbly look. But that's that heavy rainfall. I mean, come on, hour and a half plus before it makes it. I know a lot of folks need some good rainfall. The drought conditions obviously remain significant. Here's hoping that they are fortunate enough to actually get some of that there, looking from the opposite direction from Greenville, in this case here. And that's looking back west toward the sunset. That's looking pretty nice at this point. I'm going to pull up the Greenville camera, and I'm going to swing that back around toward the east. So give me just a moment to do that. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a rainbow showing up there because it looks like there must be a sprinkle a little closer, but Rainbow Watch. Where's our rainbow catcher?
Rainbow Wrangler.
That. Rainbow Wrangler. I knew we'd get there because I was like, that doesn't sound right. So yeah, showing the shot there as well. Anything else you're seeing on any of those cameras, Gabe?
I mean, not really. Just getting those decent downpours. That's honestly the best shot right there as you got there towards Greenville with that rainbow. But I think it's just all good from here on out, and good meaning supplemental rainfall for a lot of areas that need it, and beautiful conditions with that rainbow as well. But yeah, that's definitely the area we're watching, but models forecasting that is starting to dissipate, especially those storms that were a little bit more significant earlier on. Are we able to get that shot out of Memphis by chance to see how that radar site kind of interacts with it better? Is this out of Memphis? I don't know if Mike's on. Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I mean, earlier on from Monroe County, since it's shooting so high up from that radar site, of course, you're going to get some of those purple returns. That means that there's a little bit more lift, or at least it looks more significant further away. But out of Memphis, I mean, we're still getting some decent returns. I will say strikes about 38, but not like what we saw earlier. But the thing with this, it's starting to collapse. And whenever it collapses, a lot of those gusts start to get to the surface, and we get some windy conditions happening on the ground. I mean, aloft, we're talking 20 to 30 miles an hour, but as we've seen with these storms, that doesn't exactly verify for what's happening on the ground, and that could be a little bit more significant and knock down a few of those power poles or trees, especially with the drought conditions. So Matt, that storm is definitely one to pay attention to as it heads more towards Banks, basically going up Highway 61. And I want to say, because I know that you were at the beach a lot last week, Highway 61, there's something about it. There's a boundary right on top of that highway, because my word, has it been a hot spot for showers all week last week, and it seems like we're continuing that trend this week.
Or maybe it's been a barrier for showers moving eastward.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because that's where the most inclement weather has happened, is right there. If there's a 6 and a 1 by where you live, more than likely you've seen a shower.
And we're joking. Hopefully the folks at home know we're joking. We mentioned that there's no barriers, there's no magic formulas. These storms can go wherever they're gonna choose to go. I'll give you a storm track on this, and I'll send it back to Gabe to do the tropical stuff, and we'll wrap up this broadcast here. But this one here has moved a little faster than some. I'm gonna track this one. I'm gonna go still 20, 25 miles per hour. I'll double check, make sure that distance is correct. Yeah, I might be a little slow on that. Let's see here. So if this is a 1 hour loop and it's moved, 26, 27 miles per hour. So we're close enough probably on that there. So we show that making its way toward around the Marionette area now, Lake Cormorant at 626, Eudora at 637. South Haven 646, Goodman Road area there about 652 at Goodman, and then Horn Lake about 654. This is probably going to be some sporadic wind damage possibility out of this. Don't expect to have a lot of that, but wouldn't be shocked. It doesn't look quite as impressive on radar here. The reason for that is we're looking from the airport radar, so we try to stick to the wind mode on this here. But yeah, I would say right there near Banks, and you mentioned right there 61, 69, where those two kind of come together. That's where this is kind of moving up there towards South Haven. So some spotty wind damage possibility as that kind of moves into that region. Do want to double check just power outages, latest numbers on those. Does not look like we have anything terribly significant in that regard, or at least not additionally significant that way. So Gabe, the other thing obviously that we are looking at here, the tropics continuing to get more active as well, right? And you're tracking the tropics?
Exactly, and I feel like I have a tie to this tropical system because it's Gabrielle. My name's Gabriel, so it kind of, I don't know, I feel an emotional tie to this. But no, Gabrielle has really intensified over the weekend. We were tracking, I remember on Friday, that it basically was forecast to be a Category 1. Well, then they upped it to about 100-mile-an-hour hurricane as it moved further into the Atlantic, around this point as well. And we were talking about, was that a little bit of an anomaly, or is that where it was headed? And meteorologist Caleb Edelblut talked over the weekend about how this was an intensifying storm and one that we definitely needed to pay attention to. I mean, looking at where we sit right now, 140 miles an hour in the middle of the Atlantic, 40 miles an hour more than what it was forecasted for on Friday as of this point, and that will continue to make its way through the Atlantic in the next several days. I mean, you can see the 4 p.m. advisory, 948 millibars for that pressure level, and winds 140 miles an hour. Already starting to take more of a northeast track as we head into our Tuesday morning, and as we get more towards our Wednesday morning, diminishing down to Category 3 strength. So this is not a storm that we're expecting any impacts from, but still, I mean, the Atlantic has been producing some big-time storms. Fortunately, hogging all of those storms for themselves and not sharing it with the United States because we don't want it. As it moves further into that forecast, Thursday afternoon, Category 1, 80 miles an hour, and moving further into that Madrid, London area, far away from the United States, and we're not seeing any impacts here in North Mississippi. Nevertheless, the entire Central 48. So it's been a good forecast, and we will continue to take advantage of it. We're just dealing with inclement weather of our own that's not necessarily tropical, but still impactful in its own right. And as you can see, those chances trying to linger, 30% by 7, and moving into that 10 o'clock hour and into 1 o'clock in the morning, some lingering chances as well. So that's one of the things we'll be tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center and on the Mississippi Live Weather app. And you can do so yourself as well. A great app to download to keep you prepared on alerts, lets you know when rain is coming to your house, or lightning, or severe storm, or anything of that matter. It'll let you know what you need to know as that inclement weather moves on in, but also lets you have access to our 24/7 stream, where we have broadcasts at 5 and 6, and also our next one coming up at 10 p.m. this evening. So you'll want to make sure to have the latest on that information. We'll have the latest model runs, short-range model runs for our Tuesday and for our Wednesday, just what exactly to expect and what the timing is. That'll be essential as inclement weather is possible for the next 48 hours. So keep it here for the very latest, and we will see you back here in a couple of hours. Have a great evening.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.